Alright, so this is my suit of armor, and so as you can see I've got a helmet that works. On my arms here I have my gauntlets, I have my spalders. The reason that these aren't pauldrons is because pauldrons come across the chest and back area. As you can see I have my greaves and sabatons over top of some old Converse of mine. On my surcoat I've weathered it so it looks like it's been through some battles. This is my heraldry for this costume, a blue background with a white compass rose in the center. On my throat here I have a gorget. My original plan for the helmet was to make it sort of like a bassinet so the chainmail would hang down. I could not figure out how to get that working, but overall I'm pleased with how the helmet looks. I've sort of put a rim around the bottom here and I think that helps it stand out. So if I'll turn around completely here. I'm very pleased with how this looks, and maybe I'll wear it at a Ren Fair or Comic-Con. So this is the base that is underneath my knight costume. I have this long underwear that has this pattern on it that sort of gives the implication of chainmail underneath the surcoat and the spalders. So here's one of the spalders, my right spalder, and so it's got shoulder piece plus 3 smaller pieces. On the inside we have a faux leather strap that's protecting a elastic armband. It is connected, as you can see, by ribbon, essentially. If I were to do this again, I'd make sure that the ribbon was all one piece, because that's how it was actually done in the medieval period. If you're curious how it just stays on my shoulder instead of collapsing as soon as you stand it up, well, I have Velcro here on the shoulders, on both shoulders, as you can see, and so the elastic slides up on the arm, and then I Velcro the spalder to the shirt, and it sits on perfectly. This is my knight helmet. As you saw, the visor works, so it'll sit easier if I put the visor up. Here it is with the visor up. Now if you're wondering why on this side I don't have the breath, well, that's because on certain medieval helmets it was common not to have a breath on the right side because it was fearful that an arrow or a sword when you were in combat could slip through the breaths and injure you. And as you can tell with this helmet, I put a large sort of slice into that helmet. It was probably wise that he didn't have that. Eventually I may go back over and paint this side blue and put in the sort of damaged compass rose, almost like my original knight helmet that I made, except leaving this side completely silver and making this side this color blue. Overall I like this one more because the visor actually works, whereas this one, it just is aesthetic essentially. Both sides have the breath on this one, and this one is clearly the Warden's helmet from the game For Honor. My knight costume is sort of a take on that, not exactly. What I wanted to replicate, well, not really replicate, but sort of emulate with my knight costume was that of like a paladin from D&D or just a generic knight, which I think I was able to do that well. If I were to extend this helmet or add more onto it, I'd probably put a feather, like a blue plume almost, on the back of it to give it more of that knight like look, since the helmet really only comes up to about there. Another thing that I like on this helmet is sort of the flare out that I put on there. It's sort of like a bassinet almost. Like I said, I did want to put chainmail in there, but I just couldn't figure out how to get it done. I know that there was cloth on actual bassinets that they would sew the chainmail onto, and when I looked at the width of the chainmail, not the width, the circumference of the chainmail, I had it just wide enough to stick my head through, but I felt like it would be too big for this, so this really hits the sort of middle of my jawline, almost about here. And so when that hits the middle of my jawline, essentially, that would mean that the chainmail would basically almost cover my mouth almost. So I didn't really want that. So if I can figure that out, I'll show that to you. But overall, I'm very pleased with how this night costume turned out.